Joining us now is Blake Rutherford. He is the originator and author of BlakesThinkTank.com, a very thought-provoking blog that focuses on politics and media at the local, state, and national, and even international level. Thanks for being here, Blake.
Roby, thanks for having me.
Let's talk about politics today. Let's talk about what we knew was going to be a huge matter a few months ago. Blanche Lincoln at the center of some controversial votes on the Senate Finance Committee. This past week, we saw 2 votes on a potential public option. Blanche voted against both of them. Was she playing politics back here in the home state? Was she watching polls? Was there something else at work?
Well, it's a good question, and I don't think we know entirely. There have been a few polls conducted on this, one as early as about a month ago, that shows Arkansans support a public option, although they oppose Obama's health care plan. So it's hard to say. Clearly, she's not in favor of a public option. I mean, the two amendments that we saw were very clear. And so I'm not sure that it was. I mean, certainly it's politics. I mean, everything in Washington is political, and healthcare is certainly hyper political right now. But it is a curious vote, but something that she's kind of over time gone back and forth on. I think we know where she is, and it'll be interesting as the process continues, because, as you know, the public option was in the House bill, so it's going to be decided. They're going to have to talk about it again in conference, and then when it comes back for a full vote, we'll see if she's forced to deal with it again. But as of right now, not a fan of the public option.
Abortion and abstinence education also came into the mix
they did.
With the health care bill
That's
this past week. How did Lincoln vote on that, and why do you think she voted like she did?
Well, it's interesting. She voted in favor of abstinence education. It passed committee 12-11. She and Kent Conrad of North Dakota were the only 2 Democrats to vote in favor of it. I honestly not sure why. There's overwhelming evidence that those types of programs weren't successful in the Bush administration when they put a lot of money behind them. And President Obama has said, well, we're just going to kind of let that expire, and we're going to put money in different programs related to teenage pregnancy. So I'm not really sure. I'm guessing that there's probably an aspect of her constituency in Arkansas who still believe that's a good program and something that should be promoted in schools. So she's probably speaking to that audience. But then at the same time, she stepped out and voted against several amendments that Senator Orrin Hatch proposed that would have limited different aspects of abortion in terms of how they apply to health insurance reform. So she'll get lots of applause from Democrats and certainly from liberal-leaning female voters for that vote. So, and probably the more high-profile of the 2 as well.
This past week, September 30th, we also saw the end of the fiscal quarter. It's
right.
a point in time where candidates really hustle to get those last-minute contributions in so they can show what they filed for the quarter.
Right.
That carries weight with Washington, D.C. influence. We typically don't know until about October 15th what those numbers are going to be, unless you did really well.
Yeah, and then you're going to know
those numbers kind of float out a little bit early.
Right.
But we do think that Blanche Lincoln had a pretty good quarter. We'll learn her results before October 15th. And Gilbert Baker, the presumed front runner for the GOP nomination, also had a good quarter. Tell me a little bit about how you see that shaping up.
Well, certainly you're right in that once we know what that financial number looks like for Gilbert Baker, we'll get a better sense of what kind of support that he has. Generally, early money means very good things for challengers, especially when they're in a competitive primary. And we could have as many as 7 candidates in the Republican primary. So I'll be interested to see that number. I think you're right. I think he is the presumed front runner. He's got pretty good name ID, especially in Central Arkansas, and I think that he's got strong standing within the Republican Party. He's staunchly conservative and is going to speak to a lot of those value-based voters in Arkansas. Blanche Lincoln, on the other hand, has been raising money at a very impressive rate from the beginning. So we can expect probably another big quarter for her. She's, again, even if Gilbert Baker has a nice fundraising number, she's still substantially ahead in terms of money. So he's going to have not only a good quarter here, but turn that money into essentially a bigger pot to be able to be competitive, because she's looking at a several $1 million advantage right now.
Do you think that any of the other contenders for the GOP nomination pose a serious threat to Gilbert Baker if he comes up with a big number?
I don't. I think that it seemed to me all along that Gilbert Baker was the candidate Republicans were hoping for. Curtis Coleman, Conrad Reynolds, Kim Hendren, Tom Cox, really haven't been able to generate much enthusiasm. I mean, Republicans will tell you something different, but I think the truth of the matter is they speak to very narrow constituencies with no name ID, having never run for office with the exception of Kim Hendren, who had some early gaffes that I think pretty much torpedoed his campaign anyway. Gilbert Baker is a good Republican resume candidate that they wanted to field. Again, they weren't sure whether that was going to happen. Now that he's in, I think you'll see the Republican base consolidate around him over the next couple of months.
You mentioned Blanche Lincoln's impressive fundraising totals to date. Mm-hmm. She has also been the speculation, and it's been rumored that there might be some primary challenges for her. Bob Johnson's floated his name out there. There continues to be this rumor that Lieutenant Governor Bill Halter may get in. Do either of these guys get in at the end of the day?
You know, that's a $1 million question, Roby. I honestly don't know. I don't think Bob Johnson gets in. I think that he was his statements were very interesting, but I think to mount a primary challenge against her is going to take an incredible amount of work and time and effort, energy, and money. So I'm inclined to think no, he won't do it. Bill Halter, there certainly has been this rumor out there for a long time. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, you can make all kinds of political arguments in favor of it and against it. Again, it's tough to do. Blanche Lincoln may be unpopular with a certain segment of the Arkansas population, but to beat her in a primary is going to be very, very difficult. So again, it goes back to time, energy, and money. And Lieutenant Governor Halter's proven he can raise a lot of money. He certainly did the last time he ran for office. He's going to have to raise a whole lot more, and he's going to have to challenge her almost from the left, which is a curious thing to do in Arkansas politics.
All right, Blake Rutherford. He is the author, originator of BlakesThinkTank.com. Thanks for being with us.
Roby, thanks for having me.
We're back with more right after this.